Alright, hello everyone. Today I'm going to be going through my 2024 reading wrap-up using Storygraph. Now, I started using Storygraph in 2023, and it has now been I can't say a whole year, but it was a whole year in August. So it's been over a year since I started reading it, and I've been using it for all of 2024. So this is a very comprehensive list. I try to update my pages as I'm reading them, at least daily. It's a very comprehensive look at my reading this year. And if you're watching this and you don't usually watch me, this is just, I guess, an introduction video, nice little introduction video. So, the first book I read was Blood of Elves. I read this on audio. And the last book I read was Orb Scepter Throne. I finished this at about 10 o'clock on New Year's Eve, which today is New Year's Day as I'm recording this. So, it's a very recent read. You set off on... let's look here. So, this is a mood map of your reading. February is when I got to the later Witcher books, which are they do get pretty dark. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised because I was reading Malazan and like all throughout the year. And like Reaper's Gale gets pretty brutal. Till the Hounds isn't as brutal. And I guess Dust of Dreams and Crippled God aren't as like dark, but I'm surprised at this graph because I don't know if I have my 2023 one still, but it would be interesting to look at the 2023 graph. It says, you set off on thrilling quest, explored shadows of the human psyche, and followed cryptic trails of secrets. The tales gently unfurled, inviting, savoring, and reflection. Yeah, so in January, I didn't read anything. I read 13 pages, as well as in July, I read 84 pages. And I read about, I'd say, I don't know, I probably read about like 2 books average a month, if I had to guess. And I got, my reading goal was 24 books, and I read 25 of them. And I read fantasy. I said to myself at the beginning of the year of 2024, I said, this is going to be a fantasy-filled year. I'm going to just mainline fantasy. And you know what? I did that mostly. You know, all this stuff is, here, let's see, no, we can't click on it. The longest book I read was Toll the Hounds. That's true. And the shortest book I read was Chainsaw Man. Toll the Hounds. How long did that take me to read? August to September. That's not that bad. And then that took me a day to read. And the longest was Bone Hunters, which, here, let's pull up the stats for this one. I read October to March. Basically, I read half the book in October when I was just binging the series. And then I kind of fell off, and I picked it back up in March after I had read the entirety of the Witcher saga. I got really burned out of reading, and that's why in January a bunch of the books are, not like that. The author you spent the most time with in 2024 was Andrzej Sapkowski. 6 books. I read everything but the short story collections this year. And Steven Erikson, of course, 5 Malazan books to finish out the series. And R.A. Salvatore, I read the Dark Elf trilogy. My average rating was 4.3. Yes, I'm in the point of my reading where all I have enough to tell what books I would like when people say like, oh, it's character focused, oh, it's plot focused. I have enough of my personal info to, like, my personal tastes to know what I like, and I still have a lot of unread books. I still have a lot of recommendations of like main stuff where I can be like, well, I like this usually, and I don't like this. So I can be pick and choosy, and I still get mostly good books. My 5-star reads were just Toll the Hounds and Crippled God. I'm pretty stingy with the 5 stars. whole year. Out of 24, I gave 2. And those are the ones that I would say are completely, like, those are the ones that I would say, like, altered my brain chemistry in some way. You know what I mean? And so I gave 2 books 2.5. That would be Heretics of Dune and Season of Storms. I did not like Season of Storms, though I've come around to the idea of it. Like, I would bump the idea of it up to like a 3, maybe, but I'm not going to reflect. That's not going to reflect in the rating until I reread it someday, because I do want to reread, like, if not all the Witcher books, at least that one book. And then I can't really remember too much of these, but yeah, so those 2, I had 2 really bad reads and 2 really amazing reads. And I had 3 that are in 4.75, and those are books, like, those are, I think, Bone Hunters, Reaper's Gale, and Orb Scepter Throne, which are, like, they're 5-star books, but they didn't have that special sauce, right? I think that if you put those as 5-star books, I'd be like, of course, yeah, that makes complete sense. But they didn't have that resonant sauce that I let 5-star books, or 5-star books, when they have that, they get the rating. Some months were better than others. It's true. April, 3.25. That must have been when I read Witcher, maybe Dune. I don't know. It was, but November. Where did I read in November? I read 2 books in November. Oh, yeah. That'd do it. And then my most shelved was Name of the Wind. My rating was 4 stars. And then you have City of Towers, which is 3.5. And my highest rated, or the highest rated, was Crippled God. Which, I mean, if you make it all the way up to book 10, that means you like Malazan, and you're probably going to like this book. So, yeah. Works of 8 new authors: Patrick Rothfuss, China Mieville, and James Islington. Yep. 24 books, all series, no standalones. It was only new stories and ideas, no rereads. And I decided not to finish 8 books this year. What's the 8 books I did not finish? Dragon's Bane, I wasn't feeling that. Virtual Light, wasn't feeling that. Servant of the Crown, so boring. It was so boring. And it was free, so. Tad Williams, that's paused. Yeah, I'm coming back to that one. Elric and Melnibone, I was not feeling it. Game of Thrones, you know what, sometimes I'll just pick it up and I will just start reading it, and to log those pages, I have to, say I'm reading it, but I usually don't get past, like, a few hundred pages in it. God Emperor of Dune, I was going to do kind of like a read-along with one of my friends, but honestly, I don't feel like reading, I don't feel like rereading books right now. And Consider Phlebas, I dropped the audiobook, and then I picked up the digital ebook, and man, there's a chapter just kicking my ass. I think I can pick it back up. I kind of remember what happened all the way up, and I know where I am right now. It's just a very kind of boring section I'm at, if I'm being completely real. And 19 books. What do you mean from my own shelves? What did I read that I don't own? Oh, you know what? Okay, wait. So if we open up 24, so this is the books I read versus the books I own. I own the bind up of this, so I just like put it in because I'm not reading both of them back to back. I no longer own this trilogy, the Dark Elf trilogy. I gave them to the charity shop I got most of them from. I don't own Name of the Wind anymore because I didn't really enjoy it that much. I'm probably not going to reread it. And that's 24, so that's 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that checks out. That checks out. Okay. And then, yeah, so 2024 at a glance. I read the Witcher series, and then I finished Bone Hunters, and then I went. This is actually pretty nice. Oh, okay, yeah. So, wow, it's a lot of reading, but it doesn't feel like that much. Because I remember being all these people, but I'm now me. City of Towers. I got to get back to that series. I own the series, and I think I'm gonna like it. I just have to finish Darkwalker and Moonshade right now. And I finished Malazan. I can't believe I'm finished with Malazan. And like those two books finished in like, because basically I went Stonewielder, and then I had like City in the City and City of Towers kind of backlogged. And then I went 1, 2, 3, and that was a run. Just bam, bam, bam. And then Dust of Dreams, and I was like, okay. I was originally going to read Orb Scepter Throne in between Dust of Dreams and Crippled God, and I said no. I read the ending of Dust of Dreams, and I went, nuh-uh. Right into Crippled God. Shadow of What Was Lost. That was a fun plot-driven read, but I don't know. I should really read the sequels, but not really feeling it right now. I have it right next to me. I'm probably going to read it after at least Blood and Bone, but you never know. Fireborn Blade, I'm definitely going to get to the sequel to that sometime this year. And then Shadow of the Torture, also going to do that. So let's look at the stats, just the general stats page. Average time to finish was 29 days, and I read 15,597 pages. That's pretty good. And then the pace, I read 2 fast-paced books, which were Fireborn Blade and Season of Storms. 12 slow-paced books. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And 11 medium-paced books. That makes, yeah. It's funny because I read so much fast-paced stuff that Shadow of What Was Lost kind of felt fast-paced, but when I think about it, I'm like, oh, actually, it probably was pretty medium-paced. And I read, just a lot of really long books this year. The longest was the almost 1,300-page Toll the Hounds, but this is like just as long. Toll the Hounds is technically longer than Dust of Dreams page count-wise because the appendices, but Dust of Dreams no longer has the appendices. So it's technically shorter, but story length, Dust of Dreams is page longer. I think it's word count shorter, but page count longer. Return of the Crimson Guard was pretty long. Shadow of What Was Lost was long, but I read it in a week. Like, I read it, basically a week. Malazan, again, another huge book. Heretics of Dune, way too overlong. Toll the Hounds was the longest one. Lady of the Lake was, like, so long. It was a choice. And you know what? I can't help but kind of respect it. But it was long. Name of the Wind, that was a fairly... Like, it was well-paced for the length it was. Stonewielder, it's nice because the novels, books get progressively shorter as you go on from Return of the Crimson Guard. So that's nice. I like that. The Crippled God, that's a long book too. They're just all long books. Like Reaper's Gale is also a tremendously long book. So, I mean, I just like that's why I said like when I say I read 24 books, like I read a lot of pages, right? But 24 books. Under 300. 3 of them. Yep. And 3 to 4.99. That makes sense. Yeah. Just enough. All fiction. Okay, here, yeah. So science fiction books I read. Where, yeah, I don't know why Crippled God is counted as science fiction, but it is. I don't know why. A City to City, funnily enough, that's actually shelved under fantasy in my local bookstore. That is, yeah. Okay, wait. What's speculative fiction? Yeah. And then format, I mostly read print. I remember when this was all audio, and I was like, oh man, it's just gonna be an audio-filled year. And then I was like, wow, audiobooks are expensive, dude. They're expensive. And so I stopped reading audiobooks. And then digital books, I got the e-reader fairly late in the year, around September. And I'm reading on it. It's just I read on it like in bed, not when I'm like sitting at my desk. Yeah, E. Esselmont got 3 books. Ari Salvatore got 3 books. And then here's the graph. My best. I don't know how you know what, I really did burn myself out for October, because 800 pages. It's a lot, but it's not my average. I guess my average is kind of all over the place, but it's usually around like 2,000 pages. Around. Yeah. So I gave 4 stars, which, yeah, those seem appropriate. Like, everything looks good to me. And 4.5 stars. Yep. Tower of Swallows. I'm surprised that's not higher, but looking back in my memory, it's like, yeah, that makes complete sense. And then 2.25. That is the perfect Dust of Dreams rating. It's good, but it definitely has problems as a book. 25 reviews. Yeah, I think I'm going to end this video here. It's a nice little overview of my reading in 2024. Thank you guys for watching. By the way, my story graph is False Mine, if you want to add me. And yeah, thank you guys for watching.